Well, as you can hear, the water pump on the boat doesn't sound very healthy. However, I'm pretty sure it's not the water pump because I only replaced that last year. It's not even a year old. And I'm pretty sure the issue is with the accumulator tank. And we're going to dive into that right now. Yeah, last year when I replaced the water pump, I looked at the accumulator tank, which came factory installed on this boat being a 1998 Sea Ray 370 Sundancer, but you should know that by now. And it came with a factory installed accumulator tank. Now, if for any of you who don't understand what and how and what the accumulator tank does, it is just simply a small plastic tank. In this case, it's 1 liter. This is the replacement one that I have for it. And inside of that, there is a bladder, which one pressurizes with air. And the water flows in around it. And so what happens as water pressure drops in the system, for example, opening up a hose or a tap, the bladder will add pressure to push the water through the system without calling for the actual pump to turn on. And I'm going to show you what the pump looks like on this boat, where it's situated, and where the accumulator tank is as well. Okay, now how this thing works is it is pre-pressurized, as you can see on the top. Let me just open this up a little bit. It has, I believe this is called a Schrader valve. This would be the same thing if you want to put air into a bicycle tire, for example. It's the same type of deal. As a matter of fact, I do have a bicycle tire pump on board, and I do have a pressure gauge because I was using that on the old accumulator tank that's on the boat right now. And that's how I discovered that it is probably failed, simply because when I put the pump on this and took it off, pumped it up to 10 pounds or whatever, and went and water spit out of it. So my guess is that the internal bladder has split, cut, and that means it's garbage. So I'm going to try this one. Now, just a couple things you have to keep in mind is that this particular unit, and I will leave a link down in the description. Bought this off of Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested in finding out more about it. This one is set to a pre-charge pressure of 10 psi, 10 pounds per square inch, which is more or less right on the money for what I want, because the instructions say to set that pressure at adjust the pressure of the tank to 3 psi below the cut-in pressure of the pump. Now the pump that I have is a Japsco Par 3 Max, I believe, and from what I've been able to find online is that cut-in pressure is at 15 psi. So if I wanted to go to 3 below, that would be 12. Now if this thing is set to 10, then that is close enough for me. And shut the pump off. Shut the pump off at the power. There. And then just relieve the pressure off the system. So this unit here is going to be replacing the factory installed unit, which is right down here. Now this is below the our bed under the forward V berth in the boat. There's the water pump. This is the actual water tank here. So the way this system works is, I don't know if you can see, this is at the top of the tank. So how it works is it draws from the tank around to this line through a little pre-filter. There's the pump, and then the pump sends it yoink out, of course, but first it goes into this accumulator tank. So there's an inlet and an outlet on this thing, and I really don't think it matters which side orientation it is, because you're just having like a pressure vessel in here, and then from there it goes out. I don't know if you can see that line, that flexible line that goes this way and then carries on and takes water throughout wherever it's needed on the boat. So now that I got the water shut off at the pump and depressurized, I am going to disconnect one of these lines just to get rid of any residual water that's going to be in this system. So I'm going to get a towel, put it down here. This looks wet, but it's dry. There's a spot down here you can see where this fitting was glued in. And it's almost like a hot melt glue gun type of fitting. So it looks like it's wet, but it's not. It's just shiny. So hopefully that didn't make everybody dizzy. I apologize if the camera is on a bit of an angle, but again, very hard spot to get into here with the camera at least. And then this little guy, if it's anything like the other one, it's going to be screwed to something, so it's entirely possible that this knockoff is the same as the factory one, and it's screwed up to the underside of this deck here. So again, this is the pump that we have in the boat. This is the one that I replaced last year, so this is new, less than 1 year old now. And it's a Japsco Par Max 3, so it's a 3 maximum gallons per minute at 25 psi. That is the shutoff, the 25 psi. Now this this accumulator tank also came with a couple of barb fittings, and you can see they just screw on like that. And then the hose would fit on top, over top of that. So this would be like an easy, quick disconnect type of affair. You see that would just spin around. So I'm hoping that the hose that I have on the boat now has the same inside diameter as this fitting, and I will find that out in just 1 second, because I'm going to disconnect one of the lines on the old accumulator tank and see if this fits on there happily. And if it does, we're laughing. I'm just going to show you what Sea Ray did to make my life a lot easier. There is like stow bolt screws through this deck. So there's 2 of them, and then it's bolted through the mounting points of the accumulator tank, and there's just a nut and a washer and a lock washer, of course, from below, which is great, because if it was screwed up to the underside, that would be an absolute nightmare. So thank you very much, Sea Ray, from back in the day when Sea Ray was still building real boats and taking care of their customers' needs and expectations and anticipations of having to service and repair something like this. So kudos to that. So as you can see, I haven't disconnected any of the hoses yet, but I was able to pull this accumulator tank out from that space and just set it up here, and I'll just disconnect these lines. However, I have seen what may be an issue, because see the old one, you have a line in, out, again, doesn't matter, in this case it is out, but it's coming straight off the side, whereas this one has got a 90-degree angle, because remember, it's going to be tight along this cabinet wall, whereas this one here has just got straight fittings on it. So I don't know if this hose is going to be able to hook onto this and still bend around, and I do not have any 90-degree fittings on the boat today. I should, but again, this is why I'm doing this today. It is a weeknight. I came up here to do this, and if need be, I can pick up a 90-degree fitting tomorrow, so we'll see. So anyways, I'm just going to get back to disconnecting this and see what is going on with the hose dimensions. Here we go. All right, I have the lines now attached to the new accumulator tank, and as I mentioned, this might be the only sticking point where the old fitting was like that, so it was coming out on a 9-degree and then heading that way. So I don't know, I should be able to sneak this line more around and back, because of course it's all going to be heading back farther that way towards the starboard side of the boat, and I don't know if I can get this around, but I'll try. I don't want to kink this line, so we'll see how it goes. Now I could, by all rights, turn the water pump back on and everything should just work hunkily-dorily, but before I do that, before I charge the system and get it all full of water, I want to just make sure it's going to fit back there. Worst case scenario, I may have to just relocate these mounting points a little bit farther that way, or even putting on a bit of an angle, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So even if I have to mount the tank a little bit askew, which I don't want to do, but if I have to, I will. So let's see how this goes. Stop talking, Paul, and put the thing back together. So everything is now back together, and yes, I was able to get that hose in around this corner. It wasn't that tight, so that's all good. It's all mounted. I love that they did this from Sea Ray. Thank you very much. That's awesome. So now I am going to turn the water pump on, check for leaks, and see how it sounds. Hopefully it sounds a lot better. So water pump on. Fresh water pump. Yeah. Okay. Bleed the system of air. Okay, one last look here. See, it takes a lot longer for the pump to actually cycle on now. And this doesn't even have the aerator on it right now. So it's, you know, there's a healthy flow of water, and you see no more chattering or like that hammering noise. Back inside. There it is there. So yeah, everything's nice and dry. I give it the field test all around, so that is awesome. So now I can drop the cover back over it and put the mattress back down, which will make this a lot quieter. Okay, final test. See, and now even with the pump running, you probably won't be able to hear it on the audio on this, but it's definitely a lot quieter than it had been before. Because yeah, it's more of a just a rather and doesn't cycle nearly as long either. So that's a good thing. Okay, final note I just want to make, just showing you, this was the original one that I took out, the original accumulator tank. This was made by Jabsco, the same company that made the pump that I replaced last year. And a couple things I just want to mention. See, ITT Jabsco, which is now a Xyleme company, and it just shows where all the headquarters are for USA, UK, Canada, Germany, and Japan. But it does not say what the other one says, which is made in China. So it just shows how old this is and how the world has changed in the last 25 years since this beautiful boat was built. Yeah, so that's it for this one again. I hope that you will check down in the description and look at my full playlist of my How I Did It boat repairs and upgrades. I have well over 100 projects that I've shared from this boat as well as our previous 2 Sea Rays. And there's a lot more if you got problems with your plumbing. I got plenty of videos about that, electronics and everything else. So again, as always, I look forward to your positive comments, and let me know what you think about this project. And if you are considering doing something like this and you're in the market for one of these, look down in the description. I will have a link to Amazon for the unit that I bought. All right, that's it, and now we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.